Jazz hands.
Jazz hands. It says we're on the air. Okay. Which one is this? Rock out. This week on the Virtual Skeptics, Bob performs the worst miracle ever. He is staging a walkout. Barb is excitedly bending your iPhone. That's yours right there. And Tim is enjoying himself on the beach, so yeah. I'm your host, Brian Gregory, and I am totally into that stable 316. Oh, yeah. That was the joke, and nobody gets it.
I didn't get it. Sorry.
That's okay. That's okay. Some Linux hacker out there is laughing his butt off.
Oh, there's.
I was going to say, are you talking computer again?
Always.
Yeah.
So, everyone, this is the Virtual Skeptics. And if you're watching, I'm not going to apologize. We are going to do some stuff. And I got guys here. See, I always do this. I've got other people. And you guys need to know who this is. So I'm going to go ahead and talk about these people here because they're the awesome ones. I'm just a doofus that talks. And this guy, Bob Blaskowitz, CSI's conspiracy guy, web columnist, blogger for Skeptical Humanities, and Swift blog contributor. I'm getting pretty good at this. Eve Siebert, editor and blogger at Skeptical Humanities and contributor to Skepticality. Tim Frawley's not here, so I'm going to skip him. And Barb Drescher, former psychology instructor, blogger at ICBS Everywhere, and contributor to numerous skeptical projects, including Insights at skeptic.com, which is cool, and the odds must be crazy. They're crazy, I tell you. They're crazy. Welcome, everyone. Say hi.
Hi. I think there's an extra S in there I may put in. It's Insight.
Insight. Insight with a T.
Yes.
And no S. Well, one S. Not two S's. That's one S. So
yes.
Insight. Okay. So you're watching. We're gonna say stuff. You're gonna listen. Hopefully, maybe we'll do something else, and you'll have it on the background, and you'll just perk up if something sounds interesting. I don't know. But if you're curious enough, and you're enough of an attention hound that you need to interact with us, we have given you opportunities to do that. You can tweet with hashtag Virtual Skeptics. You can post comments on the YouTube feed. Or you can use the Q&A app. Did I enable it? Yes, I think I did, to ask a question, and we'll do our best to work out the funny bits and the good questions into the show. Who's first?
You can just yell at the screen.
Oh, we got to do our thing first. What?
Yeah. There's lots
Yes,
of
you
stuff.
can yell at the screen, but there's no guarantee that it'll work. It only works like 1 in 40. No. What's the random chance? I'll go ask my statistics friends. So we do a couple things first. That's what we need to do, the first things. First we say hi to Eric because he said hi on Twitter. And then we do the trivia question. You guys ready for a trivia question? Everybody say,
Sure.
Yay!
Yay!
Tim was nice enough to provide us with a trivia question because he's the trivia mastermind. This week it's about another 100th birthday because like last week's question was also a 100th birthday, but this one is another 100th birthday. September 29th, which is today. No, it's not. It's not September 29th. It's 24th. So in 5 days, September 29th.
But it's
the
in the
25th. 24th.
24th is today.
Oh, we're
Today's the
screwed.
25th.
What?
Nothing.
Something bad
What
happens on
country
the
are you in,
25th.
Bob?
Tomorrow. Oh, nothing.
We're
Don't
not
worry
in
about it.
Australia. If you're watching this in Australia, it's probably the 25th, but it's 24th to us that are backwards in time.
It's also
We're not time
probably
travelers.
October
trivia
in
question.
Australia.
What is today's date?
Today is the 24th of September. That is today's date. The date this happened, this thing that I'm about to try to get out my mouth, is 5 days from now on the 29th. Actually, it's 5 days from now.
5 days from now, 100 years ago.
Okay. So, September
Some little Dr.
29th.
Seuss.
This is the longest trivia question announcement ever.
And it really shouldn't be.
Yes.
You might want to rethink your decision not to apologize.
On December 29th, 1914, a piece of fiction in the London Evening News made many people believe that what mythical creatures had been seen at a battle.
Was it the 5th?
The Battle of what? The Battle what?
A battle, and it doesn't say what battle. It says a battle at World War II, and I think I'll give bonus points.
World War One. World War
Okay,
One.
I know that one.
One. World War I, the first one that we know of.
Mm-hmm.
World War I. So, here are the important pieces. September 29th, 1914. Story in the London Evening News. Mythical creatures battle, some battle in World War I. And tuna fish, which I'm adding just randomly. No, it's got nothing to do with tuna fish. Someone will tweet that out, so anybody who doesn't hear me make this huge announcement, which lasts 5 minutes now, they can answer on Twitter. So there you go. Just give me what the mythical creature was, and I'll give you bonus points. Okay, so the other quiz is the thing behind me. Now I only got one video up to this week. The other if you can figure out what the other thing is, wow, you're awesome. But if you figure out what the video is, I'll give you credit for that as well. So, moving right along, because we actually need to do a show. Let's see, Bob's got some things. Got some things and stuff.
I have the worst
stuff, Bob.
I have the worst miracle ever. At the beginning of the week,
better be bad, man.
This is not a good one. At the beginning of the week, I saw a report that came through Doubtful News that was kind of so extreme that everything else I saw all week just kind of paled in comparison. Nothing had this type of impact on me. It happened along the Pakistan-India border. A 40-year-old father of 6 named Muhammad Niaz volunteered to have his throat slit in public by a Muslim mystic and be raised from the dead by the healer. I think you see where this is going. Niaz died. But how do you get to that stage in your life where you know that if you were ever going to have your throat slit in public, this is the time to jump on that train? How do you get there?
You can't even. I mean, you won't even be able to benefit the notoriety you get from it. So.
No, you're going to be raised. That was the promise
Okay, so
there were some problems with the story that I had. For instance, I can only find literally one place where it was published. I don't see anything wrong with that publication in particular, but there wasn't a lot of corroboration. It came from the Pakistan Tribune, where we learned that on the 16th, the holy man, known as a Pir, P-I-R, by the name of Muhammad Sabir, announced that he could raise the dead. So that was on Tuesday. On Wednesday, on Tuesday he had his volunteer, Muhammad Niaz, just like, I'll do that, probably in that voice. It turns out he was the father of 6, and that was
a Muppet.
Got killed.
Yeah, he was a father of 6,
and he was a Muppet.
And stuffing went everywhere. This is actually horrid. This is actually really horrid.
I know. He's like, why are we making fun of this?
Really bad.
Stop laughing then.
He had to be married. He had to have children.
Gosh.
In order to, raise the tension, I have no idea. But
in order to want to die? No.
Yeah, I don't know why that happened.
Were they bad children?
No, I mean, he really thought he was going home.
No. This is horrible.
This is really bad.
Yeah.
And so the next day, Niaz showed up at the public square, climbed onto a table that was set up there, then was bound hand and foot, which, yeah.
And then he expected that?
I don't know. But then Sabir slashed the guy's throat. Someone in the crowd called the police, and the crowd prevented Sabir from fleeing when he realized that his miracle was not going as planned.
So he believed this was going to be successful.
He believed his own hype. The police spokesperson said that this guy had been gaining popularity in the region because of his miracles. Now, what we should say, like, all this stuff happens within a cultural context.
Yeah.
And these peers are seen as being faith healers, essentially. They're faith healers.
Yeah.
In and that becomes, I think, more important, it seems, in rural areas where there isn't access to clinics and that sort of thing. So he just apparently believed his own hype. The peers are descendants of Sufi saints, and Sufism is a mystical branch of Islam. So mysticism is kind of like the journey inward towards truth, really. And they are often targeted by, in this part of the world, by the Taliban, who are really all about control in this world and knowledge through Sharia. The Sufis, it seems, put less emphasis on Sharia. So they get shot and blowed up a lot. Anyway, when we hear that he was becoming famous for miracles, it was probably for run-of-the-mill faith healing type stuff. When I looked around for stuff about this, I couldn't find anything. I couldn't find the guy. I couldn't find any notoriety, anything that he'd done to make at least the English-speaking press. But I did find other people, records of other people doing horrible things on behalf or for their peers. The peers are kind of the path of Sufism. I think it seems that there is a they take a leadership role. The peers take a leadership role, and in some cases there are oaths sworn to your teacher. And these peers can be teachers. So it's very personal, very intense, and they have lots of influence. So, for instance, in 2009, they found a report from the same region where someone named Zulfikar Kolkar slit his son Awais's throat in order to please his peer, right? And then there was
with no promise of being resurrected in that case.
No, just slit his throat. There's also, if you could bring up an image, a report from a women's rights group. A peer telling a man whose wife was thwarting his will that he, quote, needed to get some body part of his wife. So Zafar cut out his wife's heart and brought it in a bag to the peer to, quote, make his wife more compliant. I don't know how that was supposed to work.
Well, it clearly did work. Just too well.
Yeah. So, even though Sabir was arrested and Niaz was no more, Niaz's sister said that she didn't think that Sabir should be arrested or prosecuted, and that she was happy and proud of her brother because he's now in heaven or whatever. But mostly he's just dead. So that kind of blew my mind, and I was wondering if you guys had any insight into how somebody could do something so utterly self-destructive like that. How do you reach that point?
People believe all kinds of stuff. I can say that I don't think that people murder people in public to try to resurrect them. I don't know of any case of that in the United States, but I do know that there are cases that are more subtle. I know of a particular religious leader here in Annapolis who claims to be a bit of a prophet and a faith healer, and at least one case of someone who was in that church who chose not to get traditional healing because she believed that he could heal her. Now, she was elderly, she might have passed anyway, but the point is that it's not benign. And,
well, the faith healing is not benign.
Yeah.
Faith healing is not benign.
Well, I mean, in this country, it's not even benign.
Here,
even suicides you get in cults all the time. I mean, there's Heaven's Gate. There's plenty of examples of people sacrificing themselves, thinking that they will go on to something better. You don't see it quite as often as people doing it individually like that. Though I think that's what makes this one unusual. It's a lot easier to do something like that if a bunch of your friends are doing it too. You know.
Yeah.
being the one person is a little
Everyone's doing the human sacrifice.
Yeah, and the only distinction I was trying to make is that this was a particular church that the average person goes in and would not be able to distinguish it from something mainstream, except from that's not affiliated with a denomination.
And that's how it starts. Even
Yeah.
I mean, it starts with people look at what people believe in Scientology,
Yeah.
but they don't walk in understanding what they're going to learn as they go through it. And when you take small steps, you end up in some pretty bizarre places.
Yeah.
You should read, if you haven't read it yet, It's Not About the Sex My Ass, by Joanna Hanks and Steve
What?
Kuno.
What?
You haven't heard that?
It's
Heard
not
that one
about the
yet?
sex, my
Yeah,
ass.
it's called "It's Not About the Sex My Ass," and it's a great story, very well told, very very humorous. Joanne and her husband were Mormons who got sucked into a polygamous cult, and you would not believe the stuff that they did and saw and believed. It's insane. I mean, and I don't want to give away any of it, but it's a really good read. And she tells the story with Steve Kuno, who is absolutely hilarious if you know him. And it ends up being just a great read. It's very funny. It's very lighthearted. That you can see how people would slowly get to absolute back guano crazy
Right.
very easily. It's just baby steps.
It's Not About the Sex My Ass is my New Kids on the Block cover band.
Very good.
Just saying. Yeah.
Snake handling. All I want to
Snake
say
handling.
is snake handling.
Yeah. What's up with snake handling? Why it's a good example of something happening in this country. You wouldn't expect to be happening in a civilized country, but it's essentially that. It's people risking their lives because of their beliefs. So it blatantly, I don't know.
Yeah. So, big bummer, everyone. If anyone asks you to hop up on the altar, just say no.
Just say no.
Yep.
Don't hop up on that altar.
Yep.
I was going to make a really bad joke there. I'm not going to. But I am going to point attention to a really great joke that Eve just posted because I was desperately trying to come up with a peer pun, and she beat me to it. She tweeted, "Before human sacrifice / resurrection, there should be some sort of peer review," and it's spelled PIR, and that's awesome. So, way to go, Eve.
Yeah, that's pretty funny.
There you go. And I didn't do it justice. So, I guess we're going to go out of Bob's pit of despair and into something uplifting, which is the end of the world by technology. Dun, dun, dun. I got a couple of soft, squishy robots this week. Let's see.
Oh, yeah. I heard
First, I have this thing. This is a robot.
filthy.
This is a robot. That is not what you think it is. It's a robot squid. That's what it is. See?
The one on top looks very convincing.
Well, that one is that's a real octopus. I think it's an octopus, but I think it's a real squid-like creature. This guy here, Gabriel Weymouth
This
of
freaking
University
guy.
of Southampton, was trying to understand the locomotion of squid, octopus. So he designed this robot, or it's in the shape of a squid head. It's a squid head, Bob. That is supposed to mimic the locomotion of squid-like creatures when they inflate themselves and then push with, the compressed water.
Mm-hmm.
Apparently, the speeds at which these creatures can thrust away, no pun intended, cannot be totally accounted for by the thrust produced by the water being pushed out. So apparently there is an interaction that they discovered in modeling it in this little robot that because it is changing shape, it has a side effect in the turbulence that it creates in the water that allows it to accelerate away faster than you would think from on thrust alone.
Are you sure it's not squid-powered perpetual motion?
It's squid power. Yes, it is. That's exactly what it is.
Awesome.
No.
Damn.
Now, I thought there was another thing going on here, because it's obvious to me, and because I'm obviously an expert in robot squids, which I'm not, that you're actually moving less water inside of it as well when you're releasing the water away, and therefore what you're moving is losing weight. But I'm not sure that they might have accounted for that in this test. I don't know. It wasn't clear from the article I read. But it's clear to me that you should not go in the water.
Do we get to see it move?
I don't have a video that I can post on the chat, but I will.
Oh, that's so sad.
I think there's one I can link to, so I'll put it in the show notes.
Okay.
I have a video for the next one, which is not as interesting.
That is a realistic-looking robot.
That is not a robot. No, that's the wrong one. Go back. Push the play button. There you go. See? We have the blue sky. We have Nice Harbor back in May of 2003. We have these seagulls all over the place. So this guy, which you're going to see in a minute, who is a grumpy guy, invented this thing. This is the Robop, or the robot bird of prey. And what you can't see, or you can't hear because I don't have the audio, is this thing makes bird of prey noises. It's some kind of what exactly is it? It is
supposed to look like an
falcon.
osprey?
It's a falcon. It's a robotic falcon, so it'll move randomly and make noises like a bird of prey, and it's supposed to keep the birds away. The reason why this came up in the news recently is that apparently they're installing these around the Sydney Opera House to keep the gulls away because they're a hazard. This guy makes a pretty penny on these things. What you said?
Airports.
Airports?
What about airports?
Yeah. I don't see any customers on here that were airports, but they do a lot of harbors and things like that. They are based out of Edinburgh, and they're a growing business, so maybe they'll catch on because they get some press over this Sydney Opera House thing. The thing about these two stories that kind of struck me is that nowadays, pretty much if it's mechanical and it does something that looks remotely organic, they call it a robot. Now,
that didn't look like a robot to me. I was thinking that's like one of those dancing Coke cans at best.
Yeah. What exactly is the definition of a robot? I mean, it's a very wide-reaching buzzword nowadays,
Those
especially.
Singing fish people put on walls.
Is that a robot? Because it moves and it makes noise? Or does it have to have some kind of intelligence? Does it have to have...
I thought it had to have some kind of autonomy at least.
Yeah, because there are a whole lot of things that are classified as robotics that have very little autonomy at all. Actually, most manufacturing robots have no autonomy. They just run pre-programmed repeated motions. So, and most of the autonomy that we think of from science fiction is still TBD, so...
No, I was thinking of things that, things like randomized, I don't know.
Yeah.
You mean like interacting with the environment and making
interacting with the environment, making choices.
But that's exactly what that assembly line robots are not doing, and yet they are.
I suppose there's robotics we call robotic surgery, things like that we would be controlling.
Yeah, and in the case of things like that, they're an extension of humans. I mean, that's what the robotic surgery does. It allows a surgeon to do what he normally would do, just scaled down or in a situation where he wouldn't normally be able to get access.
Yeah.
So there's teleoperation, there's automatic repeated manufacturing or repeated access to things. There are other things, most of them are experimental at this point, that just run around, scurry, navigate on their own, and do weird stuff like this next one. This is a Harvard project. Harvard and Cornell as well have been doing a lot of squishy robots. And the idea is to to try to come up with ways of making robots that are more organic, less likely to break, and less like engineering, but more something that can flop around and not break. And it's, I guess, the non-break thing.
It looks like it's having an attack of some sort.
Yeah. This thing, it's been over 5 years. They had a prototype that was, it's a squishy body with air bladders in it, so they can expand and contract the air compressed in these and allow it to move like some kind of like a jellyfish or something like that. So they're air actuated muscles essentially. And they built another one recently because they were trying to make it so this thing wasn't so fragile. And they're trying to experiment with the limits of this thing. So this thing is made out of this silicone rubber that it has the same performance whether it's walking through fire or.
Oh wow! So you can like torture.
Here's an example. Here's an example of a car running over it, and then it'll get up and walk away.
Yeah, but it's not running over the electronic components necessarily.
They admit that's the weakness that currently
it's
the
like Mr.
electronics.
Bill.
Yeah, it is kind of like Mr. Bill. But yeah, they do admit the weakness. This is a prototype. They have a more advanced one that actually has a case around the electronics, and they're looking at other possibilities of both the mechanics and the electronic parts that they could either encase individually or use valves that are also flexible. So they want this thing to be so resilient that you could beat it with a hammer, run it over with a truck, shoot a flamethrower at it, and it will still come at you.
Yeah, I was going to say it will still kill you.
Yeah,
you can see my concern.
Yes.
Though the thing, I think it's just more amusing than anything else. They were talking about using it as like a rescue bot, or to go into tight spaces after, say, a building collapse or whatever. And it's just like, and what, amuse the people who are stuck under?
Bringing them. I was thinking bringing them water.
Yeah.
Take a camera in maybe, but other than that, it's not much help, is it?
Yeah.
Well, I mean, they do mention in the article that you could turn it into a surveillance platform by literally just sticking a GoPro on the top with electrical tape. So you could, I mean, it's kind of obvious. It's not going to hide from anybody right now, but, down the road, if it's something small, squishy, you could
and
crawl into all kinds of little... I know.
If they make all the components smaller, it becomes a little insect,
Yeah, you combine this with you can combine this with the work they're doing on Robo Bees and some of the other projects.
A swarm of squiggly things.
A swarm of robotic surveillance jellyfish.
Oh, God.
Land jellyfish.
And they could spurt away with the squid bladder thing that we just looked at in the other one. So,
oh my God.
So yes, so little by little.
All-terrain jellyfish swarm.
Yep. So,
you could probably combine the two designs.
I would think they're more amoeboid, I guess, because that's
a little flagellum.
Yeah, it's possible. Yep.
Or make
so
it
little by little, they're working their way to building all the technology they need to make sure that humans will be wiped from this planet. And it will be the second planet only populated by robots.
I'm looking forward to seeing a cybernetic cuttlefish. That's really what I'm looking forward to, because those are cute.
You want to cuddle with a cuttlefish?
I didn't say cuddle.
That's what they're for, right?
Yeah, sure, you do that.
Yes, fine. So, there we go. We've got the Robo Squid and the Robop, the bird control system. And then we have the Gumby bot, as Eric put so well on Twitter. And that's the things we have to be afraid of this week. So thank you for listening.
That's pretty scary.
Yeah. So next on my list is Tim, which means that it's time to say, Tim, enjoy the beach. Bye-bye, Tim. No. Sending the robots to get you now. But Eve is actually up next, according to this list. And Eve is going to talk about...
Crap. I have to put the cat down.
Yes.
Sorry, Gavin.
Are you going to talk about crap again tonight?
Crap.
No.
Oh, God.
Not today. Well,
I don't know if I can
sort
handle
of. I'm going to talk about suburban Denver's educational system. So,
Oh, okay.
Yeah, basically crap.
If it's anything like a
yeah. First of all, I want to admit that I've kind of been busy this week, so I've done kind of a piss poor job of research on my topic. But I feel a lack of in-depth research is strangely appropriate for this story. And I think I could be on a school board with my... Anyway, we've all heard stories about school boards attempting to impose stupid standards. Usually these are aimed at the sciences. Basically, all of science is just a theory. Therefore, it's perfectly all right to substitute any damn nonsense you want. It's all equally valid. Therefore, God did it. Except for global warming, of course, which obviously isn't happening because sometimes you still need to wear a sweater. However, science is not the only field that people with an agenda can muck up. I said muck, not anything that rhymes with it. The humanities are also fair game. Yesterday, many high school students in Jefferson County, Florida, and by Florida I mean Colorado.
What the hell are you talking about, Eve?
I know. I
piss poor
you
job.
said something about Denver. So
Yeah. I don't know. They look alike.
Did you
I don't
just
know.
type Florida?
No. I just I don't know. I'll start again.
Hold
Yesterday,
on, I'm gonna
many
call an
high school
ambulance. You're having
many
a
high
stroke of
school
some sort.
students in Jefferson County, Colorado, played hooky. Why? Because they would actually like a proper education. The recently elected conservative members of conservative majority of the school board disagree. It's their job to keep the students from being educated. The student walkouts follow a sick out by teachers which closed 2 high schools. Now, why have teachers and students formed an unholy alliance? It's unnatural. The reason is that the school board wants to turn history classes into the U 101. It wants to establish a curriculum review committee.
Into what 101?
The USA.
Yep. Try it one more time.
Yeah, you're cutting out.
The USA is great. 101.
101.
Ah.
That was worth repeating several times.
Yeah.
Yeah, it really.
But it's important,
Really,
though. It's really what they're going
Anyway, the school board wants to establish a curriculum review committee to oversee textbooks and course plans, and they're starting with advanced placement history, which is hardly important at all, really. They want to ensure that materials, quote, promote citizenship, patriotism, essentials, and the benefits of the free market system, respect for authority, and respect for individual rights, and don't encourage or condone civil disorder, social strike, or disregard of the law, unquote.
So they decided to encourage it themselves.
Yeah. So Revolutionary War, Declaration of Independence, right out. That subversive liberal crap.
Lib crap?
And it, yes. And ixnay on say or say. I'll get back to that. The proposal hasn't been voted on yet, fortunately. It's to a new framework for AP courses instituted by the College Board, which oversees AP. Supporters believe the new framework will encourage discussion and critical thinking, but we don't want any of that bullshit. Conservatives seem to think that that kind of critical thinking, that's just dangerous. There have actually been requests that the College Board review the new framework and change it to remove any ideological bias. Irony is not just a river in Egypt.
That
Okay.
that hurts.
That doesn't make sense.
No.
I know.
It's
I,
not easy
I,
when
I,
you're
I
an
learned about that in a history class in Colorado.
Ah.
So let's talk about the Civil War. First of all, war is such an ideologically loaded term.
Yeah.
But at least it was civil. Really, it was more of a disagreement over staffing. So, bad. It wasn't bad. And then there were the Pilgrims who helped out the native peoples by inviting them over to enjoy a traditional Thanksgiving dinner. Later, though, the native people, for some reason, began committing mass suicide in their ancestral territories for some reason. At least that's how I'm assuming it works. To be fair, though, board member Julie Williams recognizes that sometimes bad things happen to good countries. She says, quote, "There are things we may not be proud of as Americans, but we shouldn't be encouraging our kids to think that America is a bad place."
Oh
so
my
it's
God,
an
these
either-or
people!
thing.
Like what? Like, do they wake up in the morning, give themselves a couple quick whacks with a hammer, and then get on with their day? Oh my God!
Well, someone should, but
Well,
yeah.
Bob, is your video gone?
no, I'm trying to increase bandwidth so Eve doesn't cut out.
Ah, that's very sweet of you.
I know, I'm a duck.
Yeah. Anyway, the students seem to get the point about American history a bit better than the school board. They're encouraging, or they're engaging in a time-honored tradition of civil disobedience, the kind the board doesn't want encouraged or condoned. Yeah. Meanwhile, in Texas, the Texas State School Board is instituting new history, social studies, and it's just, honestly, it's too depressing to even get into in detail. But apparently, Moses was a founding father.
Yeah.
That's why the 40 years it took so long. Apparently, he got here.
Yeah. So the parting of the Delaware when they walked across.
Yeah.
No, wait.
Yeah. There will be a link to that story in the show notes. But yeah, that's all I've got to say. History. And I should say one thing about Texas, and presumably Colorado as well, is these school boards don't want people like historians or academics or people who know the subject at all giving input onto the standards, because that would be freaking silly.
Well, I've often...
It should educate yabos deciding.
Yeah.
As far as I can tell.
They would freak if they saw what was being taught in California history classes, because
what are they teaching in California history
pretty
class?
liberal. I mean, there's a lot of multiculturalism. I mean, it starts really young. I can't even imagine that sort of thing flying here.
So they give out,
and we have some pretty bad school boards.
They hand out rainbow flags and pledge allegiance to rainbow flags in the morning, and yeah.
Yep, Islam is great.
Yeah.
But don't vaccinate your kids.
So what? Do we have a
this is the talking bubble that is Bob.
What? Am I a talking bubble? Can you not? Oh,
yes.
You can't see me because I'm. Hold on. Look.
You're cloaked.
I am. Now I'm using as much bandwidth as humanly possible.
I don't think so.
Well, so
this is not it.
What was the short on Texas? What was the?
Oh, they're screwing around with textbooks again. This time, history textbooks.
Last time too.
No.
Pretty much all
and
the time.
This is, I think, part of the same thing.
Yeah.
there was an article, as I said, about it, and they are trying to get rid of, when talking foundation of the country, Enlightenment thinkers are right out. You know, the people who influenced the founding fathers, and the Ten Commandments are right in.
Yeah, it's kind of part of a larger, like, what I think of as the heritage movement. You know, like, you get to remember selectively those things about your country's history or your region's history, in the case of the South, that you like, and that's heritage. And you just can't.
And anything else is heresy.
Basically, no, absolutely. And people need to, you know. There's nothing wrong with celebrating the positive aspects of what the people who came before you did. But yeah, an incomplete picture is just not. It's just not history.
Yeah.
I don't know.
The whole thing about
I believe
1984, actually.
The text. Sorry.
It's very 1984. I mean, if you think about it, it's actually kind of
Newspeak, yeah.
socialist in a way.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think the Texas school books are also have essentially minimized contributions by people who are slightly less white than white people, and what are those people that aren't like normal people? They can't grow beards. What are they called? Women.
Well,
So
some of them can, but most of them can't.
yeah, it's mostly, you know, a history of white people in America or something like that.
It is interesting, though. I mean, if you think about it, it is
History
so
of white
conservative, it's
men
liberal.
in America.
Yeah. I think that Bob should do the rest of the episode. I think you should be the talking bubble for every episode from now on.
Yeah.
Because it gives you that really that air of the energy cloud from Star Trek. Kind of thing. Yeah.
Nomad.
Okay.
Yes.
Sure thing. Why not? I'm just. You can't see the faces I'm making at you right now, and the obscene gestures.
I'm kind of glad, actually.
And the body parts that are being waved in the camera.
I mean, you had to go there, didn't you?
I did.
It's probably
leave
cat
the
body
cat.
parts, aren't it?
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, fine. Well, we're going to try to go to something maybe a little less depressing as Bob and Eve's stories tonight. We're alternating, the fun stories for that. Yeah. And Barbara's going to talk about.
Barb, try to save the show.
Yeah, I have just.
I don't have that much, guys.
All I got on here
but it is funny.
Well, I've got a hashtag, and I got a hashtag Bendgate, which I'm really hoping has to do with Richard Nixon. But
thanks for that picture in my head. No, it really has to do with the iPhone, of course. So unless you've been living under a rock.
I'm an Android person.
Well, some people, people who like camped out at the Apple Store to be the first to get that iPhone 6. Some of them went home, carried their iPhone around for a couple of days, and then pulled it out of their pockets and discovered that it was bent. Yeah. So, of course, nobody's going to test that because that would mean ruining an iPhone. But it did become clear that there was no hoax going on. I mean, people showed pictures of their phone and all of that bent.
Yeah.
But then somebody did spend the money to actually bend an iPhone 6 on camera. So it's an aluminum phone. It should be no surprise that you can actually bend it with your hands if you are strong enough.
I saw a video of someone who burnt one with thermite as well.
Oh,
so
nice. And should it be a surprise that
not
a
a feature.
phone can be burned with thermite? I mean, actually, should it be really all that surprising that a phone can be bent if you apply enough pressure? I mean, I think that iPhone users have probably gotten a little... Huh? What was that, Brian?
But will it blend?
But will it blend? Probably not.
I'm hoping at least one audience member out there remembers that.
Prize
I
it?
do remember that. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
So,
Kittens, they blend.
I think we've gotten oh.
yeah.
You should see the visual. Oh wait, you can't.
I've got the visual in my head. Thank you very much.
No problem.
You guys keep forgetting. I visualize everything.
Frogs, they blend.
Stop it! That's an old joke, you know. Let's black and white and red and green. Frog and a blender.
Yep.
Oh no! Oh, I was thinking of something else.
Frog and blender.
Frog in a blender.
I was thinking of the absolute with the dead baby.
Yes, there is the baby in a
Genre.
blender. That's that's the baby
wow.
in a blender.
Wow, we've gone way off the rails now.
That was
not green. You
Well,
want
it was
to the baby first.
It's a moldy
Then
dead
you
baby.
get to the frog, but somebody's talked about the frog first, so it didn't work that way.
Okay.
Hamsters.
So, oh God.
Let's not bring back Will and Blend because this has just gone to a horrible place.
Yes, it has.
Sorry,
It has.
I can't do the sound, but I can hear it in my
I can't too, which is funny how that works.
Oh, now I've got all kinds of things in blenders in my head. Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
So anyway, I don't think it should be all that surprising that an iPhone bends. I mean, I think we've gotten a little used to having, some somewhat durable phones that can be dropped and so forth. But come on, they're not indestructible. So it's an aluminum phone. It's light, Anyway, but when I saw this in my feed yesterday, a Facebook friend made a great joke about this not being a case of Uri Geller resuscitating his career. So I thought that's an interesting twist on it. See if I can do 5 minutes on it on Virtual Skeptics. I didn't think I could. But then this morning I found this post.
But then we started talking about hamsters and blenders.
Yes, and that's going to drag it out in a
That was 5 minutes at least, yeah.
So I didn't think of the hamsters and the frogs, or I would never have abandoned
this with
it.
us yesterday. We had all
So,
kinds
that's right. Well, I didn't find this until this morning. This was a post on a site called Telepolis? I don't know. It's Danish or something. Claiming an exclusive interview with Geller on the topic. And they asked him, Mr. Geller, shortly after the release of the new iPhone 6, you started bending them. What's the reason? And Uri Geller answers, I had a secret deal with a competitor of Apple. So that's cute. And immediately, is it satire? Well, I'll read you another little quote from it. The skeptics dispute the use of your special powers. Some managed to bend the iPhone 6 using their hands. There is a video on YouTube. There is indeed a video on YouTube, which I talked about. Uri Geller answers, my answer to the skeptics is this. I don't need to use the power of my fingers to bend metal because I only use the power of my mind, and I am doing very well with that. As a matter of fact, please go to my website, urigeller.com, and please see how I can also bend footballs. And by the way, while you're on my site, please also watch the documentary by the BBC called The Secret Life of Uri Geller, where you can see how I also bend the CIA. So yes, it's clearly satire. And not that all that funny.
Yeah.
But I did laugh at the original joke. So then this afternoon, one of my friends sent me a link to a Market Watch post claiming to have talked to Uri Geller. So here's an actual interview with them about it. And they said, he said there are two possible explanations. Uri Geller, the psychic illusionist, famous for bending spoons with his mind, told Market Watch. Either the phone is so seriously thin and flimsy that it is bendable with the mere physical force, which I cannot believe given the extensive tests Apple would have done. Or, and this is far more plausible, somehow the energy and excitement of the 10 million people who purchased iPhones has awakened their mind powers and caused the phones to bend. He even said that Apple should hire him, saying that he could explain that the problem is not Apple's fault. He said, I don't own an iPhone. I'm loyal to my BlackBerry.
Can we blend Uri Geller?
Yes. And would never change. But if I did, I have no doubt that I could bend it with my mind. Well, I'm a little skeptical. I'm sure he could bend it, but I think it's a little a little out there that he could bend it with his mind. And we've got
He
plenty
can
of
bend it with his
examples of lots of people like James Randi, Banachek, lots of others, who have shown that bending spoons, bending keys, all kinds of other things can look like magic when it's really nothing more than a magician's trick. So I'd like to see Geller do this under controlled conditions.
I can bend it with my mind.
Show you. Show it.
Yeah.
Show it.
Yeah, just the same way I can see this. I'm gonna use the paper because I'm gonna have an iPhone 6.
Okay.
So I'm gonna use my mind
There you go.
to control my hands and
Very
bend this
good.
paper. So there you go.
Cool.
Ta-da!
That was
But it did say
amazing.
with only your mind.
That was only my mind.
No, it was your mind and your hands.
No,
Yeah.
no, because my mind is only experiencing this world as a model.
Oh, okay. Well, so then to
Oh.
you it was your mind.
Yeah.
So
Okay.
I
And
always
you guys
kind
are
of
all figments
pictured you as
anyway, so.
the freaky little New Zealander kid in The Matrix. That's what I think of you.
The freaky New Zealander kid. Which one?
It's the bald one who is bending spoons with his
Yes,
mind.
there is no spork. Yes.
Yep.
So Uri Geller is actually there was one tweet. Here we go. Nigel and Howard is subtitled. He's subtitled Howard on Twitter. Skep Review mentioned that it's the iPhone 6 Plus and
Yes,
not the
it is the
iPhone
6 Plus,
because
sorry.
that's the bigger one. That's a little.
It is the
little
6 Plus,
flexible.
but it's
The
the big one.
phablet?
He actually the guy who did the video recently released another one using the one of the Samsung phones. It's about the same size, and he could not bend it, and it's plastic, not aluminum, so that makes sense. But it is what it is. I just thought that the Uri Geller twist was
Yeah, I am certainly excited enough to cause them to bend. That's for sure.
yeah.
But we're talking about phones still.
And excited enough to tell Uri Geller to get bent.
And get bent.
Aw.
Yeah. Well, the guy, we'll jump at any opportunity to get his face on something. Okay, that's all of our stuff. Thank you, Barb. Thank you, Bob. Thank you, Eve. Thank you. Matthew.
Thank you, Brian.
Let's see. We could do the wrap up now, which entails first up. Someone did get the trivia question rather quickly.
Yeah.
And it was Nigel. No? Was it Nigel? No. Yes, it was. The trivia question again for people who didn't missed it earlier, which I didn't tweet it because, that's Tim's job, and he didn't get my message from the beach, so oh well. 100th birthday. On September 29th, 1914, piece of fiction in the London Evening News made many people believe that what mythical creature or creatures had been seen at a battle in World War I? And the answer was...
Kittens.
No.
Blender kittens.
Mermaids, right?
Not mermaids.
Not mermaids?
No.
No. It was at the Battle of Mons.
It was the Battle of Mons, and it was Tom Cruise. No. It was angels at the Battle of Mons in Belgium, and the event supposedly took place in August 1914, and it wasn't reported until September. So there you go. Congratulations to Nigel for getting that almost immediately after I answered the question. I think Pierre Cloutier, I guess that can't, how's his name say? Pierre, what's his name? Cloutier?
Cloutier.
I want to say it right.
Someone swallowing it to say it right.
He got it shortly after, so they were both quick on the draw. The secondary quiz is the thing behind me. Repeating on the one monitor that has video on it is a clip from the movie Hackers. And this clip has all the people you expect, including a small cameo of Penn Jillette as well at the console, pushing that same button on that indescript Connect 4 looking keyboard they have in there. And on the other monitor is me trying to compile Linux kernel, version 3.16. Therefore, the reference earlier in the show. Ha 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 ha. Nobody laughs. Okay, now we have announcements, which I don't have any announcements. Anybody got announcements? Any announcements? Anybody on Skepticality this week?
I don't know.
I don't
There
think
is
there's
a
a...
skepticality this week.
No? No Skepticality this week?
Eve, you have an announcement.
Yeah, don't you?
No.
Your post?
Oh, I currently have a post up on Insight at Skeptic.
Yeah, you did just have one go live today.
You're lucky that you have a publicist.
Yeah. Barb had a wonderful post a couple days ago, too.
Yeah, yeah. So if you guys don't know about this Insight blog, it's the new, really cool blog on skeptic.com. Go check it out. Lots of cool people that you know are posting cool stuff on there. So
yeah. Basically. More than half the crew here.
All the non-bearded virtual skeptics.
Yes.
It's true.
So I guess now it's book time. We do that thing too, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I don't know. See, I'm kind of out of practice. This is only my second episode since my hiatus.
You were gone so long.
I was gone a whole 2 weeks. It just felt wrong. Who wants to go first?
I could just imagining next week, if hopefully both you and Tim will be on, some sort of tearful reunion.
Yeah, because it's been months since you've seen each other, as far as I can tell.
It depends on how his implant surgery went.
Mm.
I'm kidding. I really don't know what surgery he had, but... So, Eve, since you spoke up, why don't you go first?
In 793, Jesus Christ. Apparently, without warning, Lindisfarne was raided. I can't read. I was educated in Texas. Lindisfarne was raided and sacked by Vikings. Raiding from the court of Charlemagne to King Ethelred of Northumbria, Alcuin of York exclaimed, "Never before has such terror appeared in Britain, as we have now suffered from a pagan race, nor was it thought that such an inroad from the sea could be made." Although the community soon returned to the island, it was with an increasing sense of unease, as monastery after monastery suffered the same fate. At last, in 875, Bishop Erdulf took the relics of St. Cuthbert and other treasures of the monastery, including the Lindisfarne Gospels and the bones of the two men who had made it, his predecessors Adfrith and Ethelwald, and set off in search of a safer home.
And I'm going to go to the other non-bearded virtual skeptic that's here.
That would be me.
That would be...
Okay.
Barbara.
Like beauty, an object's intrinsic value rests in the eyes of the beholder. One man's priceless treasure is another man's culinary delight. In 17th century Holland, a hungry sailor mistook a rare tulip bulb that was on display for an onion and stole it from the local merchant. The merchant chased him down Amsterdam's busy streets, catching up just in time to find the sailor eating a breakfast whose cost might have regaled a whole ship's crew for a 12-month. That was the going rate for a single bulb at the height of what is now called tulip mania. Incensed, the merchant had the sailor thrown into prison for his crime.
Wow. And just imagine if they had petrified after... Never mind.
So do tulips blend?
I think so.
I think so.
Yeah.
Okay.
Go ahead, Bob. You got a book?
All right. Yeah, I got a book. Wah-wah pedals are often explained to us as being a tone control with a rocking pedal attached, but there's a lot more to it than that. In truth, the wah circuit is a sweepable peaking filter, a bandpass filter that creates a peak in the frequency response, which the player can manually, or should that be pedally, sweep up and down the frequency spectrum. When that peak is swept through the portion of the spectrum which contains the notes we are playing, it emphasizes those frequencies and produces the wah sound that we hear. The different amounts of resonance produced as this peak is swept also contributes to the characteristic sound of any given wah pedal. And this is something that can vary considerably from model to model because the wah is dealing with guitar. Wah! That's right, Mina.
Well.
Wah! Never mind. She Yeah.
Made you lose your place.
I lost my place. Yeah.
It's always been interesting to me the relationship between the development of electronics, both analog and digital, and development of music. So that's cool.
Oh, there's some really cool stuff in that book.
The content is the power. That's what the dialogue bubble said. The words coming from the mouth of a powerful and determined Captain America. Marvel's top fiction stars, including Spider-Man and Thor, shared the large screen with Cap, in quotes, during a presentation for investors and lenders in March 1996. And I'm going to leave it there. What's your book, Eve?
It is the Lindisfarne Gospels by Janet Backhouse, and look, pretty pictures.
Oh, wow. Yeah. Kells. Was that?
No, Lindisfarne.
No, Lindisfarne Gospels.
Okay. So, I knew it was
same genre.
My mouth was wrong. Barbara, what you got?
It is. I don't know if you can see that.
Yes.
It's a roller coaster.
The Calculus Diaries: How Math Can Help You Lose Weight, Win in Vegas, and Survive a Zombie Apocalypse by Jennifer Willett.
Yeah,
Hold on.
I haven't read that one yet, but I like
Hold
her
on.
other stuff. So,
was she quoting Mackie there, McKay?
Huh?
Was she when she was talking about the?
There was a quote within it.
Okay.
From Charles Mackey.
There was a quote within the paragraph. Yes.
Okay. So I was thinking, like, wow, guess what she stole from? Wow. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
What's your? I know what yours is, but go ahead, Bob.
Guitar Effects Pedals: The Practical Handbook by Dave Hunter.
Wow.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Yep.
I have a few. Mine is Comic Wars. How two tycoons battled over the Marvel Comics empire and both lost by Dan Raviv, which is he's a CBS correspondent. This is actually quite out of date, but it was interesting anyway.
It should be it should be a comic book.
Well, the cover's really
Look at the cover is, yeah.
So, but yeah, it's not. It's clearly not a comic. It's not a graphic novel, but still, it was interesting. And the recent drama is not in it. So, ever since they started making good movies, things have changed a bit. But hey, that's that. Are we done? Anyone? Bueller? I think we're done. Checking.
Yep.
Checking. Okay, thanks everybody for watching. I'm going to put the logo up and we're going to dance for your pleasure. There's the logo.
I'm
I
dancing already.
refuse to dance.
Yes.
I've seen you dance.
He's a dancing fool.
Dun, dun. Virtual Skeptics is an independent production of what'stheharm.net, Skeptical Humanities, myself, ICBS Everywhere, and Doubtful News. Our logo was designed by Sarah Mayhew at sarahmayhew.com, and our theme music is by Musicant and used with permission, as far as we know.
Until we hear
That's not
otherwise.
true. Thanks for watching, guys.